What land was given to the tribe of Ephraim? This is the question that we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of Joshua on Walking Through the Bible. Today we're going to be discussing Joshua 16 verses 1 to 10, but before we do that, let's read the passage. If you have a Bible with you, turn to Joshua chapter 16 verse 1, but if you don't have a Bible, don't worry, just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So Joshua 16, beginning at verse 1. The lot fell to the children of Joseph from the Jordan by Jericho to the waters of Jericho on the east, to the wilderness that goes up from Jericho through the mountains of Bethel, then went out from Bethel to Luz, passed along the border of the Archites at Ataroth, and went down westward to the boundary of the Japhilites, as far as the boundary of Lower Beth-horon to Gezer, and it ended at the sea. So the children of Joseph, Manasseh and Ephraim, took their inheritance. The border of the children of Ephraim, according to their families, was thus. The border of their inheritance on the east side was Ataroth-adar, as far as Upper Beth-horon. And the border went out towards the sea on the north side of Michmethah. Then the border went around eastward to Taanath-shiloh, and passed by it on the east of Janoah. Then it went down from Janoah to Ataroth, and Naarah reached to Jericho, and came out at the Jordan. The border went out from Tappuah westward to the brook Cana, and it ended at the sea. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Ephraim, according to their families. The separate cities for the children of Ephraim were among the inheritance of the children of Manasseh, all the cities with their villages. And they did not drive out the Canaanites who dwelt in Gezer, but the Canaanites dwell among the Ephraimites to this day and have become forced laborers. Over the next two chapters, we're going to be discussing the land given to the house of Joseph, which you recall had two tribes that represented it, namely Ephraim and Manasseh. Now, we've already studied earlier that the half-tribe of Manasseh received land east of the Jordan. So the land that will be given to Manasseh in this section will be to the other half-tribe of Manasseh. That the house of Joseph will receive two portions of land shows us that this tribe received the birthright of Jacob, with the birthright entitling the holder to an extra portion of inheritance. As to the borders of Ephraim and Manasseh, those borders are not as easily defined as some of the other tribes, with some of the names of places not all known to us. Therefore, some maps will have these borders in slightly different places. For our purposes, we don't need to know the exact places of these borders. We just need to know a general area so that we can properly delineate where the tribes of Israel were. And like it was with the tribe of Judah, border cities with other tribes might originally be given to Ephraim, and later their lot would fall to another tribe in order to ensure that these tribes had enough land. This is not a contradiction, just a statement of reality. The land of Ephraim started near where Israel was camped at the time, near Jericho at Gilgal, and went north. In fact, Ephraim is largely going to encompass land that we have no record of being conquered by Israel either in chapter 10 or chapter 11. The reason for that we're given hints to in this chapter, so we'll discuss that in a few moments. As is seen on our map, the southern border of Ephraim started at the Jordan River north of Jericho and stretched west towards the Mediterranean Sea. Now, from other maps of the tribal allotments, it appears that the half-tribe of Manasseh west of the Jordan received the land just on the Jordan River, while Ephraim's border started just to the west of Jericho. Which one is right is of no real consequence, for what we do know is that all of the land fell to the house of Joseph. The southern border itself passed through the mountains of Bethel, but as we'll see later, the city of Bethel itself, a border city, was going to be given to the tribe of Benjamin for a time, though it would later become known firmly to be in Ephraim's control. From Bethel, it moved through the boundary of Lower Beth-horon through to Gezer and ended at the Mediterranean. As far as the northern border went, that would be with Manasseh, and would start at the Mediterranean, traveling east to just over the city of Shechem, before turning south again toward Jericho. It is also said that some of the cities of Ephraim would actually be among the inheritance of Manasseh. Why would this be? Most likely to ensure that the population of Ephraim had sufficient territory to meet their needs, just as was done in other cases. What were some important cities in Ephraim? Well, perhaps the most important city that we'll find in Ephraim, at least in the early history of Israel, is Shiloh. It is here that in chapter 18 we're going to see the tabernacle set up, and be throughout much of the early history of Israel it will be there. Its central location means that it is ideally placed for all the children of Israel to come to it 3 times a year for their pilgrimage feasts. Now, yes, that will change in the days of David and Solomon, but having the tabernacle here would mean the tribe of Ephraim would be the source of a lot of political power. The other city would be the city of Shechem. We've already discussed the location of this city in chapter 8, being near Mount Ebal and Mount Gerizim, but this city will also become important in our study of Abimelech in Judges 9, as well as in the story of Rehoboam in 1 Kings 12. Thus, because of the importance of these 2 cities, Ephraim would become quite influential in Israel, and once the kingdom was divided in the days of Rehoboam, the northern nation of Israel would sometimes be referred to as Ephraim because of this. Chapter 16 concludes by telling us that the children of Ephraim didn't drive out the Canaanites who lived in Gezer, instead making them forced laborers. This is yet another example of Israel not fully obeying the commandments of the Lord to utterly destroy the people of the land, a decision that will have major consequences in their history. We'll begin looking at the inheritance of Manasseh, the Lord willing, in the next lesson. With that, our time is up for today. The Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of Joshua 17, verses 1 to 6, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time. Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.